Yep, how you doing? Hope you're all right. I'm trying a new setup here and it's just not quite working right, but hey, I look all godlike and ethereal with the sun cascading through the window. But anyway, hello, nice to see you all again. Same t-shirt, same place. Oh, look, I've only got 10% left. But part 2 of this idea to do with the routines and rituals that anorexia creates for us, and the way in which this is like just totally and utterly me, have broken them. So at the end of part 1, this is a bit of an aside really, I spoke about social eating and eating out and how that actually is a really good way of breaking some of the routines and rituals for anorexia. But social eating in itself, I know, is a real stumbling block for a lot of us. It certainly was for me. I have had a huge amount of OT support with this, occupational therapy, so please don't think this is something that's just happened, and I totally understand the stresses and the strains around it, but it's just one of those other examples of how to start to get better so that you can look healthier and be healthier and have a healthier active life and get discharged like I did yesterday. You've got to be action focused. You have to apply some skills and be action focused and get up every single day and just do it. I said to someone yesterday, we don't choose to be ill. Nobody would choose to be mentally ill, and no one would choose to have anorexia. We don't choose to be ill, but we can choose to recover. And every single day we have to get up and we've got to make the right recovery choices, regardless of the pain, regardless of the tears, the tantrums, the screaming fits, the hissy fits, the amount of swearing you have to do. You've got to get up every day and just do it. Anyway, social eating. So I used to think I was an expert at social eating when I was entrenched in my illness, because I could go out, and I used to go out and I would snack and I would eat cake and I would do everything else. But when I started to really have insight and learn about my illness, it was all under the fact because I'd earned that. So I'd earned the right to go out and do that because I might have done 15k at 5 o'clock in the morning, or I might be about to do something, or I knew that I'd restricted all day in order to have that one little event. So what in my head was me being successful at social eating, actually it was all just bullshit anorexia crap. So when you took away those other compensated behaviours, so when I was no longer restricting, when I did have a meal plan, or when I couldn't compensate through exercise, it got to a stage where I couldn't do social eating. The anxiety was unreal because I was flung into this situation where I was controlling nothing. So there was no food control, obviously, when you go to a cafe. I was totally vulnerable because I was out and people could see me, and because I was not going to be able to compensate or save up or whatever, the caloric value of food just became just absolutely unbelievable, and I'd forgotten what I liked. I honestly, I'd forgotten what I liked. So when I first started social eating with my occupational therapist, I actually got banned from the course because my behaviours were so triggering for other people that it was like, really sorry, Sarah, you're not in a good enough and a strong enough position to do this. So I was taken off that particular part of the process. Nibbling bits, tearing things off, leaving things, hiding things under tissues, all that, those behaviours. And I couldn't choose, so I would rock up to the counter, I'd open the menu, and I just couldn't do it. It was like an absolute block, a wave of fear would come over me. But that's no more. That doesn't happen any longer. I do struggle still with really choosing what I want, and that's the next work that I've got to do. And that's why, yes, I was discharged yesterday, but my work with my OTs and everybody else hasn't finished. So I still do struggle with actually choosing what I physically want. But some of the things that I went to in order to get to a stage where I can social eat are as follows. So again, I will always say this, I am incredibly lucky that I've got amazing support, and I've had incredible support from the NHS. I need to write a massive letter to somebody because it's been incredible. So I joined a social eating group, but the bit that I've always said, and this is the bit where I know you can watch these and think, well, I don't get nice support, is what I did at day service and with my support of my care team, I then actioned and repeated at home all the time. So I would do this thing with day service, and then I'd come home and I'd speak to my family and my friends about it, and then I'd repeat those behaviours all week or fortnight or I still do them. I still do them now. So the first thing that I did with social eating was I went through a period where I would look on the internet first and I would see what was on offer. That felt safer for me. Some people don't agree with that, but for me, this is only my experiences, that felt safer for me, was to go on the internet, have a look at the sort of things that they did, and then choose beforehand. So I could go in and I could sit, and I felt less vulnerable because I knew I wasn't going to have some sort of panic attack when I was actually in there. I did sometimes have some panic attacks because when it turned up, it wasn't quite what I was expecting, but at least it meant that I was ordering food. I then broke that by saying to people that I didn't want to know where we were going. So I had a chunk of time both with my care team and at home where, say if it was Saturday like it is today, and we were going to go out for lunch, and we would decide that today was going to be a day where we'd put some things into practice and we'd go out for lunch or snack. I just couldn't know where we were going. So that then stopped me being able to look on the internet. So I knew the time, because that was the next day. I needed to know when it was happening so I could get myself prepared and put my therapy into action, but I didn't know where we were going, so I had to turn up. But the rule was, in that instance, is that I would turn up to not knowing where I was going, and if I looked at the menu board or the menu, and I couldn't do it, I just got someone else to order for me, and it was dead simple. I'd turn to them and I'd just say, help, or I would just say, what do you think I'd like? And by saying that was then their trigger, and it was like, oh yeah, I think you'd quite like a bowl of soup. I think you'd quite like a Bakewell tart. I think you'd quite like a tuna sandwich. And whatever they said, I then went through. Now again, scream, anorexia going wild. But that was what the next stage to break it. The third stage then was to not know where we were going still, because that was so important that I didn't research beforehand. And the third stage was that I then would choose for myself. So I would go to these places I didn't know we were going to, and I would have to be confronted with the menu and the board and choose myself. But again, I would do that with support. And the support that I did, I would say things out loud. Now, my care team used to laugh their heads off at this, and my family, good job I warned them first. I would literally, would go like this. I would walk into a cafe, I'd walk up to the counter, I'd have a quick scan on the board, and the first thing my eyes hit on, my rule was, that's what I had to say. So I'd go, oh, I really would like the sound of sweet and sour chicken. And that's what I ordered. But I had to say it out loud, because the minute I said it out loud, I'd committed it to the atmosphere. I'd committed it to the stream of light. People knew, people heard, and the person stood next to me. So my mum would then go to the woman, she'd like sweet and sour chicken, please. People thought I was nuts. Couldn't care less. I would then go and sit immediately away from the counter and not facing the kitchen, because that would then make me anxious, because I could see things that were going on or see things that were going in. So the minute I made my decision, I had to walk away, because without that step I would then change my mind. And the amount of times where I'd take myself out for social eating and I'd say I want sweet and sour chicken, but then I would have changed it 18 times before I got sat down. So it was not know where I was going, go up to the counter, choose at speed, say it out loud, and then move away from the counter immediately to sit down and not face the kitchen. Then, bit by bit, I stopped having to say things out loud. But like I've just said, the area that I still have issues with is choosing what I really, really want. So that's my next stage, is to probably maybe have a conversation with the people beforehand I go in who I'm out with, and say, look, I fancy chips today, so I know I've got something to do, I have to get something with chips. Or just start to be really, 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 really honest to myself and allow myself to have a cheese toastie if I want a cheese toastie, allow myself to have a croissant if I want a croissant. And that's my next stage. So that's the process that I went through in order to get to be able to eat out. I also, at the same time, although I didn't know where we were going, people knew a list of the places I wanted to target. So places, chain restaurants have been an issue, so your Nando's, Costa's, etc. So that that kind of habit was being broken as well. So that was part 2, social eating. I flew through it because I don't want these videos to be really long. If you want more information on that, or you just want a little bit more help or whatever, I can do an actual post, or I can do another video. I'm on 5% now, so I best go. Take care, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye.